Most people aren't exhausted. They are untrained to carry their own weight. That's not an insult. It's a diagnosis. There was a time when growing up meant learning very early that no one was coming to regulate your emotions for you. Not because the world was cruel, but because it was quiet. No constant reassurance. No immediate relief. No one filling every gap. That kind of silence didn't create superhumans. It created something rarer, people who don't collapse when things become uncomfortable. Today, discomfort is treated like an emergency. Boredom is something to eliminate. Failure is something to explain away. And without noticing, many adults are still waiting for someone else to step in. The issue isn't emotional weakness. It's invisible dependence. When something goes wrong, the reflex is distraction, validation, or blame. Few stop and ask, "What does this require from me right now?" That question only exists in people who were shaped by reality, not protected from it. If this feels uncomfortable, that's not resistance. That's recognition. There is a critical difference between being safe and being prepared. Too much safety produces panic when life stops cooperating. Preparation produces calm, not because everything will work out, but because you know how to respond when it doesn't. Resilience isn't a personality trait. It's a memory stored in the nervous system. And if you're here for this kind of work, subscribing isn't about the channel. It's a quiet commitment to your own structure. Because from here on, the conversation gets more demanding. The real question isn't whether the world became harder. It's whether you became less trained. The problem didn't start in your thoughts. It started in your nervous system. The human brain did not evolve for constant comfort. It evolved to solve problems under uncertainty. When uncertainty disappears, the system doesn't relax, it weakens. For years, discomfort has been treated as something to eliminate, silence as something suspicious, frustration as something harmful, and the nervous system learned a dangerous association: discomfort equals threat. Neuroscience calls this stress hypersensitivity. In real life, it looks like overreaction, irritability, anxiety without a clear cause, emotional fatigue from ordinary situations. Not because the person is fragile, but because their system never learned to stay. When problems are always solved externally, the brain doesn't build autonomy circuits, it delegates. And whatever is delegated long enough begins to atrophy. This explains the constant need for guidance, the discomfort with decision-making, the fear of consequences, the inability to sit with uncertainty. Eastern philosophy understood this long before science named it. Zen never promised comfort, it promised clarity. And clarity only comes when you stop escaping direct experience. Modern escape is subtle. It wears the mask of productivity, entertainment, information. But the result is the same: numbing. What you don't feel, you don't integrate. What you don't sustain, you don't strengthen. This creates adults who are functional, informed, and deeply ungrounded, always busy, rarely centered. The root problem isn't lack of motivation. It's lack of emotional load training. And anything untrained will control you. If nothing changes, the cost doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives quietly. First, tolerance disappears. Small difficulties feel overwhelming. Conversations feel threatening. Mistakes feel defining. Life didn't get heavier, your capacity narrowed. The nervous system stays in constant alert, not because danger is present, but because it no longer trusts itself to respond. This leaks into everything. Relationships become fragile. Decisions are postponed. Projects are abandoned early, not from lack of ability, but from anticipatory exhaustion. The most dangerous illusion appears here, the belief that the problem is always external: the boss, the system, other people, And when everything is outside, nothing can be transformed. Avoiding discomfort today reduces your capacity tomorrow. There is no neutral ground. Either you train your ability to hold tension, or it diminishes. Either you develop internal regulation, or you outsource your stability to circumstances. This doesn't lead to collapse. It leads to a narrow life. Functional, controlled, small. The discovery is simple and uncomfortable. If you don't choose small, voluntary discomforts, life will deliver large, involuntary ones. Not as punishment, as correction. Here lies the conflict most people recognize but avoid naming. You know what needs to be done, and you don't do it. Not because you're lazy, but because there's a quiet war inside. Discipline versus comfort. Comfort negotiates. Discipline doesn't. Comfort whispers, later, not now. You deserve a break. And a nervous system trained to avoid tension obeys. Discipline is silent. It appears only when you choose to remain, without motivation. Without training, remaining feels unbearable. So the mind learns a dangerous strategy: delay life. Important conversations are postponed, decisions avoided, boundaries softened. And this is called wisdom when it's actually refined fear. Each time comfort wins, something erodes, not dramatically, gradually. Self-trust weakens. Your word to yourself loses weight, and eventually you stop believing you can sustain what you start. You don't feel incapable. You feel unstable. And instability is exhausting. Eastern traditions warned about this. When effort is avoided, impulse becomes ruler. Strength is not built through intensity, but through repeated presence. Staying, finishing, holding discomfort without escaping. The escalation isn't pain. It's the slow erosion of inner authority. And authority only returns one way, by doing what is simple and difficult consistently. The solution isn't dramatic. It's quiet. Eastern philosophy never spoke about conquering the mind. It spoke about inhabiting the body, remaining, breathing, acting without immediate reward. The practice is simple. Stop escaping small tensions. Stay one more minute when you want to leave. Pause before reacting. Let boredom exist. Finish what you started, without enthusiasm. This isn't harsh discipline. It's nervous system re-education. Each time you stay, something rewires. The body learns, I can handle this. The mind relaxes. Stability becomes embodied. That's autonomy. Not independence from others, but resilience when support disappears. You don't need to return to the past, but you do need to reclaim what comfort erased, the capacity to remain whole under pressure. Life doesn't become easier, but it becomes quieter. You stop reacting. You start responding. And that calm, not the absence of weight, but the ability to carry it, is real strength. If you stayed until the end, prove it to yourself. Write presence in the comments. Not for visibility, as a mark that you chose to carry a little more of your own weight. And that is always the beginning